you would be looking in one direction and holding your mic in the other.
Kind
and
of still that way.
Anything. Yeah, but
the worst parts are when I try to take a swig of coffee and this thing's in my way.
That is bad.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's get to Zach Brown's question next. Do want to thank Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin, Hoaglund, 11351 Aquila Drive North in Champlin, Minnesota. And as I've always told you, he handles my insurance. He handles Michael's insurance. We had a couple people at our last live show come up and ask about working with Tony. We can recommend him.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoaglund. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all $700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number one in car insurance since World War II and number one in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
From Zach Brown, we see the best Minnesota hockey players go play for the Gophers. Does having an NHL team in Minnesota hurt the Gophers from recruiting in-state? More kids now eye the NHL via juniors rather than college hockey. Interesting question.
No, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, that was always going to be that way, and it doesn't hurt the other universities. So I don't see. I mean, that's just the way that the NHL has become. Unfortunately, guys are either leaving college early or choosing the junior path, and that's just especially the salary cap in the NHL now. It's forcing teams to go and sign guys sooner than later, especially the 4-year rule where guys could also become free agents. The whole Blake Wheeler situation that he kind of created years ago, and it's teams feel compelled to get guys that are cheaper players also on the team earlier on to potentially replace more expensive players. So that's a convoluted way, but I don't think the Wild has anything to do with the Gophers' lack of success.
Right. From Patrick Gage, would the Wild have enough cap space? Oh, actually, this is about Seguin. I think we already covered that. Good question, but I think we've covered it. Eric Vigo.
Well, if the question is, could the Wild go after him cap space-wise to re-sign him, they would have to – same thing. Somebody asked me the other day, could they go after Erik Karlsson? Could the Wild trade for Erik Karlsson now? Or the person asked, could Nino for Karlsson get it done? And I'm just like – the point is that Karlsson's going to want $10 million, say, a year. Well, then you have to get rid of a couple $5 million players in a trade for Karlsson. So it's the same thing. If you're going to sign Seguin eventually as a free agent, the Wild will eventually have to move a couple of their big-name players because they're right under a $79.5 million cap now.
Right. So it was a good question. Thanks, Patrick. From Eric Vigo. I hope I'm getting his name right. I know he's a longtime listener, but I screw up a lot of names. Do you sense any tension between Fenton and Suter over the franchise defenseman's intention to play in the Stars and Stripes showdown? No,
I think Fenton was just being careful to make sure Suter understood that it made no sense for him to play. I mean, they need this guy healthy. They also don't need him rushing. I mean, I would not be shocked if at the beginning of camp we don't see Suter on the ice, and I think that's a good thing. I mean, they need him healthy for not even the start of the year. I mean, they need him healthy by when they need him. They need him in the second half of the season and going into the playoffs. And if that means being patient and making sure he's not on the ice in training camp for a good chunk of it or even the start of the season, that's the smartest thing they could possibly do. I can't imagine, as much as I know Ryan Suter, he's a stubborn guy. I got to think that he's trying to push himself to be ready for the day one of camp. And this is a major injury that he had. It's stopping and starting is not going to be easy. And I hear it hasn't been easy. So I think that they just want him to be, as careful as possible here.
From Bruce Siski, asking a very controversial
question. This is back-to-back The Athletic freelancers, by the way. Yeah. Vigo, our Gophers writer, Siski, our great Bulldogs freelancer and play-by-play guy at the Bulldogs.
Bruce asks, I don't care how much, he's trying to get you in trouble here. I don't care how much someone loves a band, there has to be a song they don't think is as good as the others. So what's your least favorite Trampled by Turtles song?
Can't think of the name.
Hey, there's Springsteen songs I hate.
Yeah.
From Hish, why did Brown elbow Jason? Was there history or dislike, or was it just a random event?
Why did Brown elbow JT Brown, Jason Zucker? Did something happen that I didn't know about?
I don't know. I just read.
Why did Brown elbow Jason?
Yeah.
I don't know when they would have skated yet. Oh, you know what? I bet he's talking about Dustin Brown, Jason Pominville from like 2013.
Oh, wow.
I know, that's just Dustin Brown. I mean, they were going for a puck battle at the blue line, and I think this is probably who he's referring to. And Brown, who's a dirty player and loves to elbow people, elbowed him in the face. Yep.
From Will Peterson, where's Nino?
Nino is always, usually he goes to Portland, Oregon right now for speed skating.
A couple more Twitter questions. Good stuff as always. We appreciate it. Again, thanks to Dulono's Pizza, Whizkids.tech, Twill in the Edina Galleria, FixologyRepair.com, Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin. Thanks to Brandon Morton for producing. Next live show, September 5th, 5:30. It's a Wednesday night. Come by Dulono's Pizza for happy hour, pizza, everything else. We'll have a good time. We always do. Hoping to line up some cool guests in the future as well as we go forward here. And we'll wrap up the show with a couple more Twitter questions. James Polkowski, Severance guy, of all the GMs you've covered, where does Fenton rank in access and communication with the press? Has Fenton tightened up your sources within the Wild organization? Fenton doesn't seem to enjoy banter with the press.
I always loved Severance guy.
I know.
I sent him a note a couple weeks ago. I'm like, man, they needed you at the town hall.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he's gotten better. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Since June, when I was pointing out, that he was being tight with the press and particularly me. He's definitely gotten better. He's been accessible. Whenever I've needed him, I've gotten him. We'll see once we get to camp. I definitely think injuries will be very different now. He's made it very clear he doesn't like being forthcoming with injuries, which will change probably the way that Bruce is. Also, something else that will change how forthcoming they are with injuries is that we're going to be at the practice facility. And, a lot of stories that I break when it comes to injuries or things like that is just having my eyeballs open, not whether I see a player or just kind of sense stuff. And now we're going to be really kind of enclosed, elevator to the locker room back up to the arena. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Tria, the ice rink is on the, I think, 7th floor of the old Macy's building, and the locker room's in the bottom, and the players are actually going to take elevators up and down to practice, and same thing with the press. So I'm not going to get to have free reign of walking around the way that I used to. So that'll probably change things, and that'll probably get frustrating, but it just means you use your sources more. Definitely, I feel that people are tightened up now because they don't, they want to develop trust with Fenton, and it's been harder getting information and things like that. But it didn't hurt me on July 1st. I feel like I broke pretty much every story that happened that day, and that was by just working hard and using external sources, and I have a lot of them. So, and that's kind of what I've shown him is like, look, I don't need to be the enemy. We don't need to be combative in this relationship. My job is to be a liaison for the fans, and I think Fenton's going to start to get it. It's going to be different. He's somebody. Look, he's the son of a police chief in northern, and he's from Massachusetts, so he's got that whole demeanor to him too, and so it'll be, it'll take a while to develop that relationship. The good news is that I've known Fenton for a long time. And he and I have been cordial with each other for a long time. And I've said it, over and over again, Fenton's the reason why I was able to get that Jordan Greenway story last year for his NHL debut. And he told me that not only did he tell me David Quinn was at the game surprising Greenway for his NHL debut, but he actually got me David Quinn when I interviewed him for that game. So he's not a bad guy at all. It's just going to be he's in charge, and he believes that certain things should be in house, and so we'll do our best.
From Liam C., what do you think is a more likely scenario this season? Wild being in the playoff contention and Fenton adding players, the team being out of the race and Fenton selling hard?
There's no selling hard with this team. First of all, again, at the trade deadline, you don't usually give up guys with major term, and the Wild have almost everybody with term but Prosser and Stahl. So, and the guys that they signed for one-year deals. So there's I just can't see a sell-off here. There's just no way. The terms rule the roost on this, and so there's no sell-off.
From Ralph Wiggum, a lot of questions here. I'll boil them down. When Fenton got hired, he sat down with Bruce. Who did they disagree on? Any idea if they have any disagreements?
Well, I mean, Bruce wanted Winnick back. He did not. That's one.
Okay.
But, they made a compromise. Bruce got Hendricks in here. Look, salary caps also ruled the roost here. Yep. And when they didn't make any trades going on as of July 1st, you just knew these were going to be the type of periphery moves that they made. They feel like they got a really good defenseman in Greg Patterson and spent some dollars on that. And then they had to really go cheap if they were going to re-sign Zucker and Dumba. And so they did. They signed Eric Ferrer for $700. They signed Matty Hendricks for the league minimum. They signed J.T. Brown for the league minimum. So that's just really all they could do. They couldn't afford guys like Derek Ryan and players like that. They couldn't find who was it? Spooner? No, was it Spooner? Who I can't remember the guy also from the Bruins who they had interest in, but he was too expensive. So that's just kind of the way things are.
Two more from Drugged Zebra. Have you bribed Fenton with a Starbucks gift card for info yet?
No, and I don't think it would work anyway. He'd probably turn me in. I mean, again, police chief's son.
Yeah.
A lot of law enforcement. His brother was a police officer forever, too. But what a great Twitter name, Drugged Zebra.
That's pretty good.
I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah. From Matt Kinney. Kinnesotan, he calls himself. The Wild just announced that Greenway will be going to Traverse City. Do you think that might mean he's not a lock for the opening night roster as Bruce makes it seem?
Matt Kinney, I feel like he's been Kinnesotan has definitely tweeted me since like he was a child, I think. I don't know how old he is now. The question was, Jordan Greenway?
Yeah.
Well, I don't ever think that he was a lock. I mean, Greenway is mostly going to Traverse City, I'm sure, because Fenton, who has never seen, Greenway up close other than his NHL debut and maybe scouting him on, he wants to see him for a prolonged stretch is my guess. That is like Boudreaux's only going to be there for a day or two, and in Boudreaux's mind, Greenway's on the team. I talked to Fenton again the other day, and in Fenton's mind, Greenway has the in to make the team. But if Greenway doesn't cut it, and this gives them a running start into training camp, then you have Matt Reed, you have Luke Cunnin, you have Kyle Rao, and things like that. So there are other guys. Greenway has never spent a minute in the minors. So even if he made the team, it doesn't mean that he's going to be here all year long. Even if he doesn't make the team, it doesn't mean he's going to be in Iowa all year long. That's the greatness of having a guy that's on a contract that doesn't deal with that doesn't have waiver situation, that he can go up and down freely. So I do think that it would be smart, though, that if the Wild make Greenway earn a roster spot and not just anoint him the way they did with Eriksson Ek last year when we all knew Eriksson Ek was going to make the team, and I don't think he was ready at the start of the season.
I think in a week nothing's happening. 40 minutes is enough. We'll end it here. We'll have more interesting topics for you on Wednesday at Dulono's Pizza. We kind of try to save a lot of our media subjects for then anyway, and we really enjoy answering live questions from people who show up. Come, have a beer, have a pizza, hang out with us. Thanks to Michael Russo, as always, and thanks to Brandon Morton and all of our sponsors. If you'd like to advertise with the program, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com, and we'll talk to you next week.
Pretty little city built on a hillside. Music in the bars and fire in the sky. We went to the beach and it was covered in ice. And I used to call it home. So much coming out, there's nothing going in. I know that you feel like you're never gonna win. Oh, but the world